Exponents and integers, problem type 2. In this particular topic, they're going to give you 2 questions per problem, if you will. Now, I've listed 3 examples, but in the topic, they'll only give you 2. I did want to cover all 3 because basically they're going to just kind of jumble up these 3 different types with different numbers. So we're going to go over how to solve this without necessarily a scientific calculator, like if you're using just a 4-function calculator or your calculator on your phone. So we're going to go over that first, and then off to the side I've actually put kind of the buttons, if you will, that you would push with either the TI-36X Pro that I recommend, or if you're using one of the other calculator, scientific calculators. So I have provided both for you. So let's start with this first one. What we have here is we have -9, okay, and it's being squared. Okay, so what this really means is that we've got -9 times -9. Okay, with this topic, it's pretty much all about where that negative sign is. Okay, and it plays a very important role, and at this point you've realized how frustrating that it could be to forget that negative sign. So this is where it's very, very important that you're paying close attention to that negative sign. So in this case, since the negative sign's inside the parentheses, that means we've got -9 times -9, which of course gives us a positive 81. Okay. Now this one here, it doesn't have parentheses. So that negative sign, it's kind of just sitting there, if you will. Okay, the only thing that's being squared is that 5. So we've got 5 times 5 with that negative sign kind of out front. So if we look at it, we're kind of treat this as a -5 for the sake of this example. So -5 times 5 gets us -25. Just so that way we don't forget that negative sign because it's just hanging there. Now this one, we've got that negative sign that's hanging there. So let's put that there so we can see it. It's there. But inside the parentheses, we've got a -2, and this one's being cubed. Okay, so that's the other thing that you need to pay attention to is the exponent that it's, the power that it's being multiplied by. So let's look here. So we've got -2 times a -2 times a -2. Okay, so we've got all of these being multiplied together. Now I'm going to go ahead, and I know a negative times a negative end up making that positive. Okay, so now I've got a +2 times a -2, which is a -4. And I'm bringing this -2 down. And then -4 times -2 is +8. That's the final answer for that one. Okay, so if you look, I've provided the example here for you to use if you're going to use your calculator, which makes things a lot easier, especially for this exponent problems. So you would press the parentheses button. You're going to, depending on which type of scientific calculator you have, you'll either have a negative sign in parentheses. It's typically down by the equal sign or the enter key. Or you'll have one that has a +-. Okay, so you'll press that one. Press your 9. Close your parentheses. So on your screen, you should have that parentheses -9. Close parentheses on your screen. Then you can either press, and in this case it is being squared, so you can press the x² button and press enter. Or you can get in the habit of using the x to, I call it a box. So an x to the box, and the box means that you're going to have to press one more key. So in this case it's 2, because that was the power, and then enter. Okay. So for like this bottom one, what you would have to do is you'd have to press your negative sign button first. Then you'd press your parentheses. See if I can scribble this up here real quick. And then again, your negative sign. And your 2. Close your parentheses. And in this case, you have to, unless you've got a super fancy calculator, you'll have to press the X to the box button. And then you'll press 3, and then your enter or your equal sign to get your solution. So, of course, if you practice both of those, you already know what the answers are for both of those. You've got 8 for the bottom one and 81 for the top. So you can try both of those. And, of course, you can practice with that middle one as well, kind of using that calculator to help you speed through this week's homework.